Who is succeeding during this great recession, during this global pandemic?
Corporations.
Huge corporations, man. Apple has seen record profits. Amazon is going through the roof. Microsoft is laughing. Google's doing better than ever.
What is going on, guys? Welcome to Bearded Discussion Podcast, the show that talks about what it means to be a man in the 21st century. I'm your host, Simon Binkowski, a self-proclaimed fitness fanatic, and I'm on a journey to challenge stereotypes about men. Every week, me and my guests will bring you amazing conversations about masculinity, relationships, fitness, sex, and many more. Now, let's jump into the show. For those that are new to the show, Adam is a professional stand-up comedian and also a YouTuber. You'll be able to check his account or check his channel in the links below. Yeah, man. Welcome to the show. Let's jump straight to it. I'm sure you've seen the recent news that's been going on for about the past 2 weeks, I think, 2 or 3 weeks. The major battle between Epic and Apple. And the Fortnite situation, all the shit that's going on. And sort of, I know this topic has been sort of done in depth before and more recent, but I wanted to sort of talk about it from a different angle. Based on the whole situation that's going on with Apple banning Fortnite from the Apple ecosystem essentially, and trying to ban Epic's access to Unreal Engine, so the developer tools that they need. And the same happened to a few other independent, smaller game developers. I wanted to ask you, do you think Apple, based on that, is becoming like that old little monopoly guy, where they're just trying to overtake the whole industry?
Yeah, absolutely, man. They've got the power, they've got the money, they've got the fan base. Yeah, of course. They've put the monopoly guy on stilts, and they've given him some better clothes to make him more palatable.
That is true. They are really going against their initial message. Even before this podcast, I watched that commercial for the one that Epic parodied in the end, like the 1984 Macintosh commercial. And And however you look at it, in some ways, they are becoming that guy that's on the screen talking about, this is, I forgot.
They've been that guy in their ad for a good decade at least.
But they've been able to hide it. And right now, do you think it's a 2020 thing where it's just like shit is starting to come out and people are willing to put up with less shit because of pandemic and everything that's happening?
Yeah, I think that's definitely a breaking point. Especially coupled with the fact that who's suffering the most during this pandemic? It's the average Joe, right? The average salt of the earth people who are working in the restaurants, they're working in the bars, the pubs. A lot of people have been laid off. People you and I both know, good friends of ours, have lost their jobs, right? Yeah. Because they're at the bottom of the food chain, and yet they do the most amount of work. And who is succeeding during this great recession, during this global pandemic?
Corporations.
Huge corporations, man. Apple has seen record profits. Amazon is going through the roof. Microsoft is laughing. Google's doing better than ever. Yeah. The stock market is going wild. Like you look at the stock market, it's completely disjointed from the economy. So people are pissed.
Well, Apple during this pandemic, when businesses are shutting down, people are being laid off. They became a trillion dollar company, the first one ever. And it's just amazing. Jeff Bezos became like the first person in like 100 years that is like has a net worth of over 200 billion, which is fucking ridiculous when you think about it. Yeah. You know what? Actually, sort of like a side point, I read recently, if you made £100,000 or $100,000 every day since Jesus Christ was born, you would still be poorer than Jeff Bezos is today. So if from the day that Jesus Christ was born until today, you were earning $100,000, you would still be poorer than Jeff Bezos is.
How many years?
That's 2,000 years.
Yeah, but that's assuming that Jesus was real. Like, maybe.
Yeah, I know. I just read it and it just like blew my mind.
What happens if I'm a born again Christian? Does it count when
I don't know. I don't know. Your stock might go down. I have no idea. But sort of let's go back to that Apple and let's really like dive into it, because they are smashing it and they are becoming I don't know. Could you say that they are becoming the bad guy? Or like
depends.
The cat's out the bag, essentially.
It depends. It depends what you mean by bad guy, because they're just doing their job, right? They're just doing what any company wants to do. It just wants to amass a huge amount of wealth at any cost. Are they bad because their phones are made in China by children? Actually, I don't know if it's done by children. I don't want to slander them, but they're definitely done by people who want to jump out of the buildings after they've assembled them, and then their fix was to let's just put nets on the windows. That is allegedly, but that's definitely also true.
Yeah.
Are they the bad guys because of that? Probably.
I mean, obviously, yes, every corporation, they want to amass as much of wealth as possible. But then sort of looking at it as a consumer or as a
Can businesses ever really be good, though? Unless you're a non-profit charity.
I think they can. I mean, obviously, every business...
Name one good business.
I don't know, your local independent coffee shop.
No, they're pricks. I've seen them. But they kick turtles, man. I saw them.
But you know what I mean? Like, obviously, as every business, they are trying to amass as much wealth as possible. But and that's completely understandable. But, you know, trying to monopolize the whole industry as much as possible, that's the bad thing. That's like, which understandable at the same time, but it's shit when you look at it from a technology enthusiast point of view, like us, sort of like, you know, it might not even impact the average consumer that much. I mean, if you're a fan of Fortnite and you were playing it on your iPhone, that impacts you directly. That's
yeah. You have to download a better game or upgrade yourself to a decent console.
Yeah. But sort of why do you think we put Apple higher or rate them higher as compared to Windows and Android alternatives? What do you think?
Because it's trendy, it's fashionable. They made like before the iPhone came about, technology was for geeks, was for nerds, was for I'm cool. Nobody cared what phone you had. Like, they just cared about cars, clothes, fashion. Apple made it fashionable to have their tech. Like, I think I can't remember who it was, but I think it was like maybe Microsoft. They had like a similar tablet or like something that represented an iPad where it was like a touch screen and it looks like the nerdiest piece of crap. Yeah. And then Apple created something called the iPad, which is thinner, was smoother, it had a huge marketing budget, and it became a completely different product. Mm-hmm. So they made tech cool. They made tech cool. The average person did not care about tech, whereas now they do. And that's the reason why they're so successful.
Do you think that's the sole reason? Because really, when you look at it, and their products are better, or they used to be a lot better than the competition. I think now the competition from Windows and Android, a lot of companies have caught up. But I think back in 2006, 2007, whenever the first few iPhones were released, it was the best tech by miles, and nobody could hold a candle. Yeah. Whereas I think now we've pretty much reached the peak of innovation in terms of smartphones. It's all just tweaking, and the competition has finally caught up. And they really need another revolutionary type of product to put them in that next level. Well, that's exactly that. When you look at it right now, and the different products that are on the market, there isn't really much of a difference nowadays between an iPhone and Android or Windows equivalents, right?
Yeah, the only difference I would say for like and you can kind of tell this like when you hold an iPhone and an Android side by side, like even if they've got the exact same spec and everything else, when you hold the iPhone, there's just a unique level of a heightened sense of smugness that sort of just comes over you, and you just feel immediately better than other people. And
that goes back to what you said. That goes back to what you said, that they managed to turn it into, rather than turn it they managed to turn it into a fashion statement, a status statement, rather than a piece of tech, right? Because at the end of the day, you know, both companies or both systems or whatever, they do phone calls, they do photos and everything else, but they managed to, and that's
it's status. It's almost like, let's be honest, if money was never an issue for anyone, everybody would go for the iPhone because it's a status thing. Even though it's like, I think so. I think you only really go to Android if you know your shit and you want to use it for more techie things. I think if you just want to take selfies and, you know, message Bay, then you just get an Apple and you feel good about yourself. And everything it connects to all your other Apple devices, and you don't have to worry about turning on Bluetooth because that's too complicated for you. So you just have to like.
But they know, like the you know the walled garden that Apple has created, essentially, where every like they sort through it better than any post office out there. Like when it comes to
it's serious, it's
apps and everything. But it's. Don't you think that in the end that hurts a consumer?
It does if there wasn't choice. That's what, thank God there is choice, and that's the reason why it's good that there's two ecosystems. We were talking, I think we mentioned about this before the podcast, but we were saying, think about how expensive iPhones and Apple products are now. That's with competition. That's with Google, that's with Android, that's with Microsoft. Imagine how expensive their products would be if there wasn't that competition. They were the only sole provider of smartphones. That will go even more through the roof.
Well, that's what they're trying to achieve in a way, right? Obviously, that's not going to happen because there's a lot of competition out there, but they want to monopolize the industry as much as possible.
Especially
right?
the App Store. Yeah. It was 30%. I think they get from any purchase on the App Store.
Yeah, that is 30%. Ridiculous. That is absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, I mean, there is a point to when you use their products. Like I use both systems. I use Apple and I use Android and Windows. There is a point to...
Get out.
Huh?
Get out.
I mean, you're the same, so shut up, because you're the same. You use all the other systems as well, so exactly.
No, what are you talking about?
So shut up. But it's like the point I'm trying to make is that they are super easy to get familiar with. Like you could give it to your grandma and she would know how to operate an iPhone or a MacBook or you know, just
you can give it to a kid, give it to an unborn baby, give it to an embryo, and they will figure out how to use it. I mean, kudos to them for being able to achieve that, because obviously like something like Windows and Android is much more complicated. The AirPods, how do you pair the AirPods? You just flick it open.
They were the first ones to do it. Obviously now other...
Yeah, but they did that, right? Like, if you can't manage to open the case, you shouldn't be anywhere near a computer. That's too dangerous for you. Go back home. Go back to your bed and put a seatbelt on, because that's how simple they made it. And I think that's the allure. It's a shame that it comes with all their products like $1,000 price tag. That's the real problem.
That is ridiculous. Yeah, that's absolutely, like, they are definitely on par with brands like Supreme and Starbucks and, you know, all these companies that essentially they do sell products, offer products, but what they're really selling is the status symbol, is the way it makes you feel, right?
Yes. And the way you're perceived by others. Like, again, we might have mentioned this before, but if you see someone in a coffee shop with an Apple laptop and they're dressed like an Apple laptop, and then they're dressed kind of trendy.
Yeah.
The first thing is is that person like creative? What is that? As soon as you see someone open like an Asus or a ThinkPad, you kind of go, oh, what a tramp. And you just go like, it's like Dell is the only thing that's accepted. Like, I've got a Dell, but even I was just like, yeah, Dell's, I guess it's okay. It just doesn't have that same level of sort of finesse.
Yeah.
It's like if you call a friend and they don't answer and he goes, welcome to Tesco Mobile, I immediately disown that friend. I'm like, you're not
You've had friends like that. So you've had friends like that. I remember.
100%. Yeah.
They are now gone.
I was like, I can't be having people on Tesco Mobile in my social. So I don't care how good a rate it is. I can't have someone on Tesco Mobile in my friendship group.
That is.
We've got some good deals there, by the way. That's serious.
Yeah. I mean, but yeah. Do you think we will always hold them to that standard, or do you think sort of now, because the PC movement and all the other movements that are going on in 2020 and all the like detail, like all the shit that's coming out, and do you think something like that, what's going on right now with Apple and Epic and the whole battle and just us in general moving forward as people, as a society, do you think they will always be held to that standard, meaning that they can sell us peanuts as long as they have an Apple logo, and then we're going to pay 50 quid for it, or £50 or $50 for it?
Yeah, genuinely, I would like a peanut with the Apple logo. That would be pretty cool. So, yeah, that's never going to change, because are people ever going to get bored of Lamborghinis and Ferraris? No, right? The only way they're going to have to reconcile anything is when a new competitor comes in and matches their level of quality. So Ferraris and Lamborghinis, and maybe to a lesser extent Porsches or something, they were all sitting on their laurels, resting on their laurels, going, we're cool, we're like the top dogs, no one's ever going to come in and change us. And then what did Tesla do? Came in out of nowhere. It's like, we've got no history of cars, we're going to make the sickest car ever, and it's going to be electric, it is the future. And then suddenly they were all like, oh my God, what? And then suddenly, like, the aspirational car doesn't become Ferraris or Lamborghinis. You go, yeah, that's cool, but Teslas are the one, right? And you've got this crazy fucking Elon Musk guy tweeting stupid shit, like saying the same sort of shit the guy in the pub would say. And you're like, how is he at the top? And then suddenly these other cars have, like Ferraris and Lamborghinis, they're struggling. They're going, we're doing an electric version. We want to remain relevant. And now they're shitting themselves. So I don't think the current players, like Windows and Google at the moment, are doing that. I think it's going to take a new company that no one's ever heard of just to completely present something new, which is better.
Really? How so? Why don't you think that someone like Google can offer?
Yeah, they might do, but I mean, look at how the Pixels perform. And I think Google's a lot of their percentage of the revenue they generate from their hardware sales is minuscule. It's like less than like 5% or something stupid. It's all software based. The way I think of it is, think about before iPhone. Before the iPhone, who was top dog?
Windows.
BlackBerry.
Was it?
No, I'm talking about
phone, in terms of phones.
Yeah,
BlackBerry, of course.
BlackBerry was the top fucking dog, man. Everyone used BlackBerry. It was the one, right? And then suddenly the iPhone came out, a new company or a new Apple just came in. Now, you think that's an isolation? If you think that's in isolation, it isn't. Because who was the top dog before BlackBerry in the phone space?
Motorola?
Yeah, but I'm thinking like more Nokia, right?
Nokia, yeah.
You remember Nokia? Fucking where the hell are they now? They were like, everyone had a Nokia 3810i, and I remember the first camera phones, and it was like, there's no way Nokia is losing this fucking throne, right? And then suddenly this company comes out of nowhere, innovates, brings up this whole new products, and they get left in the dust.
But that is interesting, because if you look at Nokia, they were late to innovate. That's why they got pushed to the side, essentially.
Yeah.
Do you think Apple now, with the size of a company it is and the amount of money that's going through it,
they're too smart. They wouldn't let anyone else. Yeah, and if somebody did come up, because it's the world's biggest first $1 trillion company, whatever it is, they just buy them out. They'd buy them out, because no one's going to shoot up. I mean, doesn't Apple have like more money than some countries' entire GDP?
I think they're richer than Greece right now.
That's not a very high bar, mate. Come on. I've heard they've got more money than Essex. Like, I was thinking like a country with like good credit. I'm pretty sure they're like bigger than Ireland or something. But they are going to. They constantly innovate, but like. Any of these companies, when they forget or they neglect innovating, that's when they fall by the wayside. Like Blockbuster didn't innovate, and then they got taken up by Netflix. And the stupid thing was, this is what I read somewhere, that Netflix actually went to Blockbuster back in the day and was like, hey, would you like to give us a few mil? We'll give you our platform and stuff.
Yeah.
And Blockbuster were going, are you joking? Streaming? We spit on you. Just get out of here. You're lucky we're not going to sue you for even like walking into our building. Yeah. And Netflix were like, all right. And then suddenly, boom, huge. So, yeah, they wouldn't. And I don't think, yeah. Do
you think they innovate really? They don't really innovate that much. I mean,
they don't.
What they do, they wait for everyone else to innovate, and then they make the best version of that innovation in a way.
Yes, they do that, but in the same, like, yeah, you saw it with the Apple Watch. You saw that with a lot of other stuff.
iPhones did the same, even in terms of design.
But there was no such thing as iPhones. They came up with the technology first, but you're right in terms of making the screens larger. They were late to the game and everything else, but bringing them to the market was the thing. But with regards to that, I had a point, but I lost it. What were you saying before?
I was just saying that, like, do you think they really innovate? Because what they do is,
you know what? I think they do and they don't. I think, like you said, some instances they don't, and they just wait for the best version to come out, which is similar to what Nintendo does. They just wait for other people to do the hard work, and they just piggyback on the technology. But in spite of that, I do think they lead in certain areas. Like they were the first company to put the fingerprint scanner into phones.
Were they?
Yeah, with the new iPhone, with one of the, I think it was the 5S.
The Touch ID or something, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that was the first thing. And then they did the facial recognition. They were the first people to do that. They also lead in terms, even though if it's shitty for the consumer, they also do move the industry. So they were the first company to remove the headphone jack from the phones.
That's true. Sometimes whatever everybody they do becomes a standard. Yeah.
And everybody shat on them, and then suddenly all these smartphones start removing headphone jacks.
Well, that's what they're trying to do now with removal of the chargers from the box. Or so when you're going to get an iPhone, you're essentially just going to get the phone. You won't have a charger in there.
You know what? I think I agree and disagree with that point in terms of part of me is like, fuck you, give me my charger. But then another point, part of the reason why allegedly they were stopping that was because they said everyone who buys an iPhone, everyone has it. Everybody has it. Now, what I think they should do is go, right, this is, let's say they've released a new phone and it's exactly the same price as their previous iPhone 11 or whatever it is. And all they do is that we're not raising the price. You're getting better specs, but we're not raising the price. But if you don't want a charger, we will charge you $30 less, whatever it costs for a regular charger. So you can get an additional $30 saving if you don't get it with a charger, and that's for the environment. As soon as they start saying we're charging you the same price, but now you don't even get a charger, then that's insulting.
Do you think that looking into the future, do you think that they will become so big and so powerful where they get sort of too ahead of themselves in a way? Like they will set the laws and set the rules and set. I don't mean that they will become a country or anything like that, but I just mean that they will get to such a powerful position. I'm in a way, I'm pretty sure they already are in certain aspects anyway, because it's the biggest fucking company in the world.
Yeah.
But that they will turn into that guy that has been in that advert, in the 1984 advert.
I already think they are that person, 100%. They've been that person for.
On what basis? Okay.
They are the big dogs. Who are the big dogs at the moment? You've got Apple, you've got Google, you've got Amazon, Microsoft, and Facebook. I'm just grateful that at least it's split across 5 fucking companies. I'm just grateful that it's at least 5. Although they control the entire of the internet and all we do, I'm just grateful that it's at least 5 people. Microsoft has businesses, right? All business investments, software. Yeah. Google has everybody's brains and all their search. Apple's is everybody's sort of like status symbols and products. Jeff Bezos makes sure you get your toilet roll delivered to your door. And then whoever the last Facebook controls people's minds and the country and they rig elections. It's all emotions. Yeah.
Man, keep talking like that. You're going to get me demonetized even before I'm monetized.
Yeah, Yeah, from any channel. Facebook's the scariest because that's where
Do you
people
think so?
go to. They're the ones. Did you watch that Cambridge Analytica documentary where it was like
I
they
have.
used Facebook to manipulate a small group? I think they managed to rig an election.
Well, that's what they did in USA, right? That's what they did in USA. Yeah, that was the election, right? Allegedly, yeah, but
who knows who's involved in that?
Another interesting documentary that's going to be coming out soon regarding that. Actually, Google with the data and Facebook as well, and social media in general. I believe it's called The Social Dilemma, which is going to be on Netflix on the 9th of September. And it is scary. Like when you have these five main players, it is scary when you think about the future because they collectively are or will be more powerful than any governing body in any country.
Mm-hmm.
They will set the rules. They essentially will be running the world because they, like what you said, they control every single emotion that you as a consumer can have, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's say if
so the whole world in that aspect is the monopoly board, and they are the main players, the main freaking figures on the monopoly board.
They're the only ones who can afford to play. And they raise the stakes for everyone else. So the barrier to entry is, oh, you want us to create a little search engine, DuckDuckGo? Fuck you. We're raising the price. We can control the browsers. We're blocking DuckDuckGo within the browser. Like, it's... I think the thing is, it's not... I don't think these companies are necessarily inherently evil. I'm not saying that whatsoever. In fact, Google's original slogan was, don't be evil, right? That was their slogan. Although they do deals with the Chinese government to make sure they still censor stuff so they can still remain profitable in China, which is going against their main ethos of openness.
Yeah.
So is that evil? Who knows? Just like a lot of companies, just like a lot of makeup companies will test on animals to sell to the Chinese market, even though that's against their ethics. But the thing is, right? Let's say the reason why it's a concern for them to have all the power is, let's say you wanted to, I don't know, start some sort of rebellion, some revolution. You go to Facebook, you're being monitored on Facebook, they can shut you down, right? Then you go, let me just Google, let me try and see where I need to go on this street. They can shut you down. Your phone that you're tweeting from or your iPhone, they can track you and everything else. So I'm just glad they're all separate companies for now.
I'm sure none of them want to do evil things or make bad stuff or hurt people or whatever, but don't you think that
the average Amazon employee earns, I think I read this a couple of years ago, the average Amazon multi-billion-dollar company, the average employee earns less than $30,000 in a year, and let's not think
Jeff
about
Bezos makes it in a split second.
Oh, mate, he makes more than that in a split second. He probably, he makes huge amounts of money. But then it was just like saying they earn like nothing essentially.
Yeah,
$30,000. They earn under $30,000. That's not even £30,000. That's $30,000, which is like, I don't know, 25, if that.
As you're saying that, I'm remembering the South Park episode where he's just like, you work for Amazon. You get money from Amazon, so you can spend it on Amazon and Amazon Prime, and you go to work to Amazon, come back to get your Amazon Prime delivery, and it's just like a whole endless fucking cycle.
Fulfillment or something. That was such a good episode because they were just parodying how Amazon workers are treated like absolute shit, but then as customers they're treated really well, and that's like the whole Amazon's ethos. Maybe not treating stuff like shit, but just basically treating customers as the top priority, which they do. So they were like being really at work. They were given ridiculous hours, treated like sort of animals. And they're like, oh, I hate work at Amazon. And then they go home and they go, oh, my Amazon package has arrived. It's why South Park's so good, man.
South Park is amazing, absolutely. And they just they keep their hand on the pulse and just like
they keep their finger on the pulse.
They're able to make anything and everything funny. It's like definitely.
Yeah.
But as a consumer, I feel like we live in a time where like the scale is balanced, and now going forward, from a consumer perspective, you can only hope that none of these companies will actually go towards the wrong thing. Like, with a Facebook, for example, you wouldn't want Facebook to go deeper into, allegedly rigging like the elections and really impacting political situations and
yeah. I think the problem with that, and the problem with Facebook, is it's not the fact that Mark Zuckerberg wants to rig elections. It's just they've got so much data, and they're too willing to give away those tools to their data to third-party companies like Cambridge Analytica, like other countries. Whether let's say Russia wants to get involved in some of that, they've become too powerful for their own good, and they don't have a strong enough lock on the gates. If that makes sense.
Ooh,
so it exposes them, because it's not Facebook that is, let's say the fake news stuff, the stuff that everyone was saying, and that's why there was a huge advertising boycott. It's not because Facebook is creating fake news, it's because Facebook is failing to prevent the spread of fake news. So any old dickhead with an agenda can put up this fake news article saying, did you know Irish people were treated like slaves up until 2008, and if it's got a credible looking website and the article's written in English, people will go, fucking hell, I didn't realise that the Irish were slaves until 2008 in America.
Yeah.
And it's Facebook's, it's so vast, they've got so much data now that they just can't filter it out fast enough, and that's why it's dangerous. It's not because these companies are evil, it's because they haven't got a grip on how successful they've been, and then other people, they leave themselves open to infection, essentially. That's my 2 cents.
That's very interesting. So based on that, we as consumers are equally as responsible for whatever the future brings as well, because we are the ones spreading the fake news, or we are the ones reading it, or we are the ones impacting certain things.
The amount of people who've sent me articles to which I fucking know they haven't read. They've just sent it to me. They've gone, oh my God, did you hear this? And you go, did you read this, bitch? And, just like, and then he was like, no, I didn't actually read it. And then all you do is you do a quick cursory Google if it's true or not. And normally like Snopes has it or someone, and he goes, yeah, this isn't actually true. It's completely fabricated. It's like chain message. You know those email chain messages that your uncle sent, your auntie sends you. Goes, send this to 10 people, otherwise you'll die. And as an 8-year-old, you're like, oh my God, I'm going to die. And then it's just that, but on the next level. Like it used to just be chain messages. Send this. Now it's just actual fake news, and it can be weaponized to rally people up, and it can have shitty results.
We live in strange fucking times nowadays. Definitely. Like it's strange, exciting, and just so interesting to see and observe. And
I mean, let's say in the upcoming American election, let's say you didn't want Biden to win. Let's say the Republican Party didn't want Biden to win. They could easily just create a couple of fake news stories about how Biden kicks kids in the head or something, or just, oh, do you know Biden hates cats?
Yeah. Or
something really vicious about Biden, and then suddenly people go, oh, Jesus, did you hear about? Even if it's not true, you're just, the fact that you hear about it, it has gravitas. Like, okay, let's say one thing, right? Like, somebody that we both know. I'm not going to name names because it's horrible to put somebody in that situation. But let's say there's a person that we both know called Mike. Mutual. You and I both know him.
Yeah.
Let's say if somebody spreads fake news about him and goes, hey, did you hear Mike? He's a chronic masturbator.
Who isn't nowadays?
And you go, really? And you go, yeah, that's what I heard. And you go, I've been with Mike many times, and his hands have always been up on the table. Like I've never seen him touch himself. And they go, well, I don't know if it's true or not, but that's just what I heard. From now on, whenever you see Mike in social situations, this poor bloke, you're looking at him going, is he a chronic masturbator? Like that's all it is. It just takes that one bit of poison to pollute people's minds, and that's how dangerous fake news is. It doesn't need to be true, and they know that. It doesn't need to be verified. You just need to hear. That's what you've heard, and that's how stupid humans are. We never look at the actual results. And if we do, we just research it from one side, which confirms our bias and stuff.
Yeah. Well, we should, definitely. We should, as consumers, we should definitely take as much of a responsibility as all these corporations, because we can create.
Don't believe everything you see.
Exactly.
Everyone's quick to say, don't believe everything you hear in the news. And then as soon as their Auntie Pam sends them some shit about genocide happening in 2008, they go, it's true. It's like, Pam doesn't know shit.
Don't be sheep. Don't be sheep, and have your own brain and do your own research.
Do your own research, and don't be scared to look at other people. Don't be scared to look at the other side.
Exactly.
Even if you don't agree with it, don't be scared to look at the other opinion. You don't have to live in your echo chamber the entire time.
Exactly. I couldn't agree more. On that note, let's end it. Let's end it for today. Before I end it, I want to say shout out to Mike. And let's end this, man. Thank you for coming onto the show.
Thanks for having me, man.
Everyone listening, you'll be able to find links to Adam's channel and his Instagram on YouTube under the video. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. Again, thank you. And I look forward to many more. Cool,
cheers.
Man. Thanks. Thank you, guys. See you later. Bye. Thank you for listening to Bearded Discussion Podcast. If you like the show, subscribe and follow your host, Simon Binkowski, on YouTube and Instagram. Share it with your friends and tune in next week. See ya.